Welcome to Wiki Bros. I'm Justin.
And this is the devil. I'm sorry. I got really excited about the voice.
We did this for like 15 minutes prior to the show, so I'm sorry to everybody listening. You're gonna hear this a lot today because Halloween's coming up, and I'm a big Halloween guy. So I sound like the devil, and I watch a lot of exorcism movies.
Yeah.
Sorry, in advance.
You do sound very good. I don't sound that devilish with that voice.
You can try the devil voice. Give it a try. You kind of sound like Batman. I'm Batman. Yeah. You know what? I'm the devil.
So,
Yeah,
so anyway,
and you make fun of me for Batman references, so I can't even bring them up.
With Halloween coming up and all, remember we talked about how we're going to do a few more episodes related to exorcisms and haunting, stuff like that.
Yeah. Spooky.
Dude, speaking of, did you hear about that Tanya Suarez chick?
No.
So,
Is it on the news?
yeah, I caught a clip of it the other day, and I was like, what the fuck? So I had to look it up more because at first I was like, fuck this bitch.
You're always so angry.
Well, she's sued San Diego.
Oh, okay.
All right, for their jail system for.
Did they dump hot coffee on her?
No, but she made out better than that chick. Well, financially, she made out better than that chick. $4.35 million.
Holy cow. What happened to get that amount?
I guess she was like doing meth or something, and
so you could just do meth and get $4 million?
No, you gotta be extreme with your meth usage. All right, so
you need the blue meth from what's that show? Breaking Bad. I need the blue meth.
She did meth, and she gets picked up, goes to jail or whatever, and while she's in jail, she like gouges her eyeballs out.
What?
Yeah. Like,
was she possessed?
So
I'm by the devil.
I think she's fucked up. Anyway, I guess what happened was she had on like these from the way I was reading it anyway, sounded like she had on these like long nails, like glue on nails or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But she was kind of being like a psycho, so they took her nails off. They cut her nails. Okay. Like clipped her nails, but I guess in the process of clipping, they like made them they're like really sharp,
Well, they just cut them off with scissors or something.
I mean, I suppose nail clippers, but like,
well, if they were the plastic ones, like they're kind of hard to cut down.
They might not have been plastic. Maybe she just had longer nails. But either way, they clipped her nails, but left them where they're like jaggedy, sharp nails.
What they make them to a point?
Yeah, I guess, man. And then. So then this bitch like is like threatening to like gouge her eyeballs out, but nobody believes it. Nobody's gonna gouge their eyeballs out.
You're on meth, right?
Nobody's going to.
You're superhuman at that point.
So she does.
Wait.
Her like
if she was threatening to gouge her eyes, why didn't they at least put her in handcuffs?
Well, they put her in the safe cell. I guess.
What's the safe cell? Like the padded cell?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's something where they're monitoring her, kind of like a suicide watch deal.
You would have thought after she got the first eye out, maybe they say, we should go check on this girl.
You know what? I really couldn't find any more information if she got both eyes out or not, but it says that she's blind.
But, totally blind, right? So she got both eyes out.
So I assume she did, but all I could read about
can you imagine? Was she taking both out at the same time, or did she do one and then decide she was going to do the other one?
Like she gouged it, and it's like hanging here.
Oh wow!
But so at first though, I was like, "Fuck this bitch!" Like, why is she getting paid because she's a psychopath?
They could have restrained her.
Well, and that's where when I read into this, I'm kind of split on it because at the same time, like, fuck you, you took your eyeball out. Why are we, I'm not, but taxpayers of that area paying now because she's a psycho who was on drugs and then ripped her eyeball out.
Right.
But the jail system has to have a little bit of accountability, right? You take in a prisoner and they're now they're under your guidance. Your
it's care,
control,
basically, at that
your
point.
care
Yeah.
is and I, gu- I guess one of these fucking guards is like filming her as she's fucking ripping her eyeball out.
Oh, well, that's probably why she got the $4 million. Let's record
Yeah.
it rather than do something about it.
So apparently,
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not
I
a
don't
good
know. It
look.
must have been like the surveillance in the jail is what I'm assuming captures this guy with his like phone or camera
that's
or
so
something
bad.
recording her while this is going on, and
I wonder if he's out of
but
a
then
job.
so I guess. And part of this was where they were like trying to get the video footage of this, and
They
like,
didn't get off his phone?
no, they didn't. They said, see, and that's where it might not have been an actual phone. It may have just been an actual like small video camera. Either way, the dude's like, "Oh, I don't have it," or like he said. I think what they claimed was that all he did was taking pictures, which would be like a normal thing for them to take pictures of the person
For
while
being
they're in there.
Okay.
But it just so happens it's at the time where she's gouging her eyeballs out. And anyway, and they never produced the they never produced the video.
He couldn't tell that she was doing it.
They
She
never
was turned away
produced
from
the
the
video
camera.
though, and they said that he was just taking pictures. But then when they compared the video footage that they had of him recording her or whatever, they're like, dude, that's not the same camera that you're showing us now. So
they were covering it up.
they got rid of it. But anyway, let's check this out. This dude, I'm sorry, but the dude,
you're way maybe you're the devil. You're way more excited about this chick gouging her eyes out.
I mean, it sounds like there's a couple people here who were watching, like the guards or whatever, but they're like, dude, they didn't do anything for like 10 seconds while this chick's like pulling her eyeball out. They didn't like yell at her. They weren't like banging. They're probably in shock. Like nobody fucking rips their eyeballs out.
I mean, to do that to yourself, like, I mean, but she got both out.
But it said surveillance footage showed the deputy recording her for 33 seconds.
Oh man.
It was while she was making violent gestures with her fingers near her eyes, indicating that she was going to gouge her eyes out. But she's not going to gouge. Yeah, she is. She's gouging her eyeballs out. So
I mean, most people are gonna have that off switch. Like, I'm not gonna, or they're gonna stop like halfway through it, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, she must have really been up there on the meth to go to that extreme.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
But then on top of that, I guess it wasn't just that, but there was some officer or guard, maybe, I'm not really sure, but some other chick who was involved in this, right? I think it's a chick. Anyway, she's like, they got to document everything that happened and everything, and so she had put in there where she had recommended placing this chick in a restraint chair so she couldn't harm herself, and they didn't do it. The jail's watch commander said, no, we're not doing that, right? But then they took that part out of their report, and when that chick is reading this report, and she's like, yo, what the fuck, I put this in the report where I recommended that she be in the restraint, and it's no longer in this report. She says something to the sergeant or whatever, and then internal affairs gets involved with it, and then that's where we're at now because they're covering up. And I guess the one of the people involved in this was on probation already, and she didn't want to get in further trouble or whatever. So
I mean, that's a lot of that's a big cover up, though. I mean, you're stating you don't have evidence that you do have, and then you actually removed stuff out of the report.
So that's where I'm now I'm kind of torn on it because I'm like, man, this bitch is ripping her own eyeballs out. She shouldn't be getting taxpayer money, but she is in the care of the jail system there, and they've done nothing but cover up their shit. So
I mean, they'll pay for transplants while you're on death row. So I mean, if they'll do that, they should at least take care of you when you're not in your right mind, which this lady clearly wasn't.
So anyway, I don't know. I'm still kind of torn on. I don't think she should get $4.35 million, but I don't know. Maybe give her a year's worth of McDonald's coffee or something. You got to give her something.
You don't think she should get more maybe than the McDonald's lady?
Well, I mean,
she's blind now.
The McDonald's lady, yeah, she is blind, but the McDonald's lady didn't gouge her own eyeballs out.
She just can't hold a cup of coffee.
So, well, here's the thing: it's not the poor decisions made by her. Like, she's old, she's frail, she can't hold the coffee. That she didn't make any decisions in her life that led her to be that way, right?
But
this chick is doing drugs, regardless of why she started doing drugs. She's still doing, illegal drugs, and that led to this whole thing. So
I would think she would have to have done something besides meth, because like you have to be borderline like hallucinating at that point in time to go that far.
Yeah, well, maybe she was possessed by a demon.
Okay. I won't do it.
I'm just
saying.
It's
going to be extremely hard for me today to not do that voice. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird situation. I think they would have been better off had they not tried to falsify their evidence.
Yeah, if they didn't do any of that bullshit, no, fuck that.
Because it makes them look responsible and guilty at that point in time.
It is their responsibility,
right?
But still,
I mean, there should be some self accountability there, though, right? Like, okay, they didn't give you the meth, they didn't give you that amount of meth, and they also didn't gouge your eyeballs out. Now, granted, the fingernail thing's probably it's a little. Maybe
I think
you could have taken a sharp instrument away from her.
Yeah, but honestly, though, I think they were cutting them to keep her from hurting herself.
They must have just cut them off straight and then still had like the sharp edges on the corners or something. I mean, because like, my God, could you imagine that? Like, get digging in it. Like, how the hell did you get behind your eyeball?
I don't know, man. I can't imagine.
That's just crazy.
I'm like a freak with my eyes anyway, so the thought of like even touching my eyeball, let alone I could never.
I'm glad I just have reading glasses because there's no way I'd ever be able to put contacts in. They drive me nuts. I cannot. I don't know how people sit there and they're like moving their eyeball.
It freaks me out. Like trying to get an eye drop in my eye.
I don't even like people like looking at people poking their own eye.
I don't like people looking at my eye.
I mean, kind of feel like
what?
Like, you just don't look anybody in the eye?
No, I don't want people looking at me at all.
You also don't like people breathing.
Well, that's true.
From one of our previous podcasts.
Yeah. So,
or is that just kids?
No, it's anybody that breathes loud.
Okay.
I don't give a shit. If you're a kid or an adult, just don't breathe loud.
Sorry.
No. Today, we're going to talk about this chick, Michel. She's from Germany.
This was a possession case?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
I mean, okay, it was labeled. Okay. Before we get into this, into this specific case, let's just discuss whether or not you think possessions.
No.
Okay, so you don't at all. You think these are all fabricated? You think this is?
I think that there may
exaggerated.
I think there may be some people involved that are fucked in the head.
Okay.
And they may think that they're possessed because they're kind of screwed up. I think the other people, like their family or the priests or whatever. No, I don't buy that. 95% of the time, I would say they don't believe that. They have some other thing going on in their some other agenda that they're trying to push.
Well, what do you attribute then with the cases where they're normal people who have no mental health issues have an incident and then within a few days it's gone, and then they have a normal life after that?
I can't picture any person that's had an incident for a couple of days and then they've moved on with their life.
There was an entire situation, and there was actually a movie made of it. Their exorcism movies. Shh, just shh. Okay, we're not going to talk about those specific ones because we tried to find some that weren't made into movies already, so that may not be as entertaining.
But everything's made into a movie.
Yeah, pretty much. But basically, there was like a court. There was a whole court. It was based on a true story, but it was a whole court hearing made of it. The guy, I believe it was like his landlord. He was in the house with his girlfriend and his landlord, and he lost it, stabbed his landlord to death.
Right. So,
like you think that was drugs?
No,
and they're just covering up the drugs.
I probably and
had the same meth that the eyeball lady had,
or he's just a psychopath.
But he was perfectly fine. He got acquitted and hasn't had a single
Well, yeah,
incident since then.
because then the thought of prison, is just like, oh shit, man, I don't want to go through that for the rest of my life, so I'm gonna be normal.
And that's worked so well for all the other serial killers.
He's not a serial killer.
Oh, because he just killed one guy.
Yeah,
It's
he
gonna be
just
four,
wanted
right?
to kill somebody, and he got it over with, and he's done, and he's happy, and now let's move on. But let's not pretend that every time somebody gets killed that they're possessed by demons.
Landlord wouldn't fix the water heater.
No. We're gonna do that one. Let's do that one. We'll do that
Do it
one
next.
Yeah, that'll be our Halloween one.
But it's. I mean, we could do it. It's based off a movie though. It's maybe one of the Insidious movies or something. I can't remember.
I don't watch any of that
no,
shit.
it's
Do you know though that I did watch the other day? I watched that Halloween. So,
like the old one or the new
dude,
one?
what the fuck, man? I saw it on TV, like on
Which
Prime or
one?
something. There's some new one.
Halloween Ends or something.
All right. So I saw that, and I was like, you know what? We had this discussion about me not watching any of these movies, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. So, but I don't want to watch this one. Let me watch the first one.
Right.
So I Google what's the order of the Halloween movies. What the fuck, dude?
Well, they like went off the rails with the Halloween movies.
It's like Halloween,
Yeah.
Halloween 2,
Yep.
Halloween something, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6.
One of those
Halloween,
didn't even have.
Halloween
it didn't
2,
even have Mike Myers.
Halloween
in it.
H2O, Halloween 2. What the?
Well, they tried to reboot it so many times, and it was just like they didn't
I
have
swear,
a good.
it was
They didn't
like-
have like very good.
It was like 3 or 4 different times where there was just Halloween or a Halloween 2. I'm like, how's this like?
I mean,
keep working,
hold
but
on.
anyway.
For comparison, there's a Jason in space.
Oh, yeah.
Just. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to really complain about
No, I'm
bad
not. I'm just
Halloween movies.
Anyway, so I watched the Halloween from like 3 movies ago. Like it was in.
It's probably
it
the
was in
Rob Zombie one.
It was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I watched that. So I've got to watch 3 movies. I got to watch this new one, and then that Halloween. Which this Halloween came out like it was Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
And then this was the Halloween that I watched.
Especially with the
But this was like
with the Mike Myers ones, it's rough because they've rebooted it so many times, and then they will randomly like bring back characters from the non-rebooted sections. It's like,
gotcha.
here's Jamie Lee Curtis. You haven't seen her in like 25 years, and she's like 50.
Okay, so look, I saw Jamie Lee Curtis was in this one, and out of curiosity's sake, I'm like, huh. So I went to the original Halloween, and I was like, holy fucking shit, that chick is in the original.
She was
So
19. She was 19 in that one.
So I assumed that she was in all of them.
No. Because I said that they've
now-
rebooted and went off
That's
the
it.
rails, and
No,
they bring it
that's
back around.
I'm not even gonna watch the other 2 now.
And the newest one, the Halloween Ends, is I haven't watched it yet because the reviews are terrible. They had a Halloween
right.
Kills
My
last
kids
year.
watched it. They said
they?
it was good.
Well, it's because
They've never watched the other ones.
because they don't care about the storyline.
Oh.
Like it's it's just stabbing and that's all it is. But like they advertised the entire last year after Halloween Kills that this was like the final showdown between Jamie Lee Curtis and Mike Myers,
All right,
and
yep.
she's like ends up being like a minor character in the entire show. Like she's barely in the
Oh,
movie.
no
apparently.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they made it like this huge
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not gonna watch them.
Nah, probably not either.
So anyway, but let's talk about this Michel chick. So she was born in 1952. All right. So this was not so long ago when this happened. But basically, what goes down here is they think that she has some seizures. All right.
Okay.
And then she has like some mental health issues too. All right.
Already a red flag.
But then they think she's like possessed.
Based off of
I guess they're really religious family. And that's usually where this stems from,
Yeah.
right? And this says
were they Catholic?
yeah.
Okay, so one thing I know, I had a friend who was grew up Catholic church, and especially if you go to Catholic school, like they ingrain the possession thing early on in schools. No, it's so much worse than you think. They actually play recordings of like to little kids in school of demon possessions. and it's like freak, and it freaks these kids out. Like, and so and they keep instilling this. So like whether or not you believe it or not is one thing, but like they're taught at a young age that this is a real thing. They let them listen to the videos, and then it's like, okay, well, whether it is or isn't an actual possession case, depending on your philosophy on it, but like you've already got that ingrained in your mind that if these are the traits that you exhibit, that this is a real thing. So you can almost convince yourself that it is real.
Right.
I mean, it's just like any real, in any type of
Yep.
religious belief.
Well, this chick, I guess she started when she was 16. She experienced a seizure, and she was diagnosed with psychosis caused by temporal lobe epilepsy when she was 16.
The frontal lobe, huh?
All right. So shortly thereafter, she's diagnosed with depression, and she's treated by a psychiatric hospital, right?
Right.
But by the time she's 20, then she becomes intolerant of various religious objects and begins to hear voices. Now, she's in a very religious household, from the
Right.
way I'm understanding it. So she's probably a little bit of
Rebellious.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And add that with the mental health issues.
Right.
Maybe it's a bipolar thing.
Yep. But it said her condition worsened despite medication, and she becomes suicidal. They've got her on all kinds of drugs, that they keep trying, but she's messed up in the head. All right.
This is one of those, like, the possession thing is on the same level with me as like multiple personalities. Like, I almost, it's like
Okay.
the evidence, like, I don't know. You see all this stuff about multiple personalities where it's like they state this person has 12 different split personalities, and it's like, it's like they switch and all this other stuff, but it's like, are they really, or is it the same person with just, it's just, obviously the split personalities is like a mental health issue, but it's like, is that the actual diagnosis, or is it just like the symptom of the mental health that they have?
Right. Or are they possessed
By, I'm not gonna do the voice.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the voice. I was
I
waiting for the voice.
I want to
and
scare you with it. Like I want
Dude,
you to actually jump on here.
You did scare me earlier. I kind of jumped. Like, it was just like a surprise. What the shit is that? But anyway, so this chick, she's, after 5 years, right, her conditions aren't improving or anything.
5 years? Wow.
Well, she was 16 when this first started.
She's 21 now.
And
okay.
she's 20 and then going into 21. And that's when her family becomes convinced that not just her family, but herself as well, is convinced that she is possessed by a demon.
Well, and I'm sure that's aided by her family supporting that.
I'm absolutely sure that is
So-
correct. So the family, they go to the Catholic Church and they're wanting an exorcism. And they rejected the idea at first, but then eventually 2 priests got permission from a local bishop. I don't really understand how this all works, but apparently a bishop has to approve the exorcisms.
Yeah, you can't just like call your local priest and say I need extra. It has to be approved like from upper members.
So anyway, the priest started doing the exorcisms, and when that was going on, the parents stopped consulting the doctors. She stops eating, and she dies of malnutrition and dehydration.
You took her away from the doctors and took her off the medicine?
After 67 exorcism sessions. So, here's what's going on.
Okay, did she exhibit any supernatural abilities?
No.
Did she, so no walking on the ceiling?
No walking on the ceiling,
No
can't move
spinning
things with her
head?
minds, nothing like that.
Now, see, this is disappointing.
She basically, from what I can understand out of it, she just doesn't, she can't be around any religious artifacts.
See, but that could be a mental health thing.
Yeah, I don't know. But here's the rundown.
You know what we need to do? We need to do this. There has to be one posted out there. I'm sure there's videos, or hell, I could probably even find that instance of that soundbite where they had from the possessions, and we need to play it. Just you can hear like the. I have seen some of them where they're like, either speaking in tongues or speaking another language and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So we should dig one up for the next one.
Yeah.
There'd be something else to play.
All right.
It'll be a good excuse for me to use the devil voice. Okay.
Okay.
You do what I say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything you want. uh, so basically, here's what happens. She's 16. She has those issues. She's trying to lead a normal life. In 1973, she attended a university. Her classmates, though, there's always got to be somebody that talks about them. Her classmates described her as withdrawn and very religious. Okay.
I mean,
thanks for
that's
that.
how she grew
Thanks
up.
for that insight, classmates.
They just wanted to be in the Wikipedia article.
Fucking Becky, get out of here with your shit.
Is that her actual name, Becky?
I don't have a clue.
You went to Becky. It's weird. Most people go to Karen or.
Oh well,
Susan.
I was thinking. I was thinking of some Sir Mix-a-Lot. So in it says in June of 1970, she had a third seizure at the psychiatric hospital where she'd been staying, and she was prescribed drugs, to take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't help the problem. Okay, she began seeing devil faces at various times of the day. And so then that same month, she was prescribed another medication, which is basically it's used to treat various psychoses and schizophrenia.
Do they have like a list of the medications that she was taking?
I mean, I've got it, but I can't pronounce it.
Were they
Like Aalept, Delanton, maybe.
Because like some of them, they're like they'll give you like anti-seizure medication, but
Well-
like, some of them can also be if they're giving her mental health drugs. Those can make you go crazy. Like if you're coming on and off of those repeatedly like that.
If I remember, because I looked up one of these, and I think it was that second one. It's basically like a dual purpose. It's for seizures
Mm-hmm.
and for schizophrenia. So
It's a weird combo.
Yeah, well, they're both dealing with the brain, maybe.
Seems like completely separate issues though. Like
I don't know.
Okay. So you have a cold, but we're gonna treat you for a broken foot at the same time.
Well, no, the cold's not coming from your foot.
Fine.
If
Okay.
they were like,
so
hey, let's pull a tooth while we're at it.
You have toe fungus, and here's a cast for your broken foot. This is
Yes.
gonna solve both.
Good. I like it.
right,
By
actually, it was a
1973,
terrible
she
reference.
began experiencing depression, and she hallucinated while praying and complained about hearing voices telling her that she was damned and would rot in hell. So basically, her treatment, at the hospital didn't improve her health. Her depression worsened. Long-term treatment also, that didn't help. She gets increasingly frustrated with the medical care she's given with all the drugs she's been taking for 5 years, doing nothing for her. And then she becomes intolerant of Christian sacred places and objects such as the crucifix.
Okay, so then she came off of all the
Yes.
antipsychotic medication
Yep.
that she was on.
Yep.
So no wonder she went crazy.
Well, no. You don't understand. She was already going crazy.
Well, I
She was
understand.
already hearing voices and thinking that she was possessed already while she was on the medication.
Yeah.
The medication's not helping. So after 5 years of going through this with medication not helping, then they cut her off.
But it's even worse. Like if you, the depression medications and things like that, like they already mess with like your brain chemistry, and depending on how they mix together, that's why it takes people so long to get dialed in. Like now, it takes people a long time to get dialed into the like correct dosage and which drugs they can take that don't have adverse
This has
effects.
been going on for 5 years. Can we?
I'm just saying, like it takes a long time. Like I mean, you could try different drugs, but if she keeps flipping to different drugs, and then she's got the seizure issue on top of it, and then you go cold turkey off that stuff, like you'll get suicidal like almost immediately. Like there's a really dangerous drugs to play around with.
Right.
I mean, I know she's under a doctor's care, but if she just, she's already having these, it's already getting worse while she's on the drugs, and then she quits cold turkey, like she's gonna go even worse.
Well, later on, she goes to visit, I guess it's a family friend, who regularly organized Christian pilgrimages, right? And so she gets involved with this, and
I thought she couldn't be around.
She can't. So
Just that sounds like it's bad combination.
Her escort there concluded that she was suffering from a demonic possession because she was unable to walk past the crucifix and refused to drink the water of a Christian holy spring.
Okay, see, if she was like burning if she touched it, or if she was like having a seizure when she saw the cross, like okay, maybe,
Nope.
But like you just to be afraid to walk around it. I'm sorry, that's
no, you don't understand.
Okay,
listen to what happens.
Please explain.
Okay, so she also goes to the shrine. She can't enter the shrine. What?
All seems like choices.
She approached it with the greatest hesitation. She said that
she's already crazy.
She said that the soil burned like fire, and she just simply could not stand it. And then,
do we have blisters? Did I see blisters?
I want to
see blisters.
That this is what she said, and so then she's like, okay, she's going to prove that she's not possessed, right? So she walks around to the back of the shrine. She's going to go in the back door. You know what I mean? No, she can't do that either. So, she said that while she was doing that, though, she saw all these people, knelt down praying, and it seemed to her that they were praying, that while they were praying, they were gnashing their teeth. And then she goes back around to the front, and she had to avert her glance from the picture of Christ in the chapel of the house.
To me, it just sounds like a crazy woman's running around church, like giving everybody weird looks.
Yeah, she's a crazy person, and unfortunately, I'm going to attribute a lot of this to her upbringing.
And I mean, in fairness, she does sound like she has some major mental health issues.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
The seizure, seizures aren't really related to the mental health, but I mean, they can damage the brain. But I mean, it sounds like she has some problems.
She's got a couple issues, and I'm going to say that, but I'm just saying that the reason for the demon possession and all this crap, not being able to look at Christ, it's the upbringing. Okay, I guarantee you, had she lived in some island place somewhere and she never heard of Christ before, she can walk right past that picture, no problem. But she's got an idea of what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if she was truly possessed, it wouldn't matter whether she knew what Jesus Christ looked like or what they portray him to look like. Come on, get out of here. I don't believe it. Right. But anyway, so this is their whole thing. She also said she made it, several times to the garden, but could not get past it. She also noted she could no longer look at medals or pictures of saints. They sparked so immensely that she could not stand it. And then you've got the people who are going to capitalize on this. The Father Ernst Alt is his name. It's like Ernest, I guess, but Ernst. Anyway, so he's one of these priests that comes over and tries to exorcise the demons. They basically, they'd gotten turned down. They said they couldn't do it. Then finally they said, okay, whatever, do it. So 2 of these guys come over. 67 exorcism sessions, okay? And it said that
No wonder this hasn't been made into a movie.
No, this has been made into a movie.
This one has?
Mm-hmm. And I've seen the title of it, and now I'm kind of interested in
watching
the movie.
It's one of the Conjurings?
No, it was the haunt, or is it the haunting of Emily Rose? Something with
this
Emily
is the Emily Rose one?
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Yep. So, and I've seen that title somewhere, so like on Netflix or something. So I'm kind of gonna watch it now.
It's been a few years, but it's not
You've
bad.
seen it?
It's been a few years, but I've watched tons of scary movies, so they got blended together at a certain point.
I was picturing that they were talking. I was thinking it was like a documentary.
No, it's like I mean, there may be a documentary
because I'm a big fan of documentaries.
No, this is just a scary movie. It's just they've based on true events. They say.
Okay. Anyway, so 67 times these guys had these exorcism sessions with her, lasting like 4 hours long, right? That's a lot of time for each one, right?
Right.
They may not have all lasted that long, but pretty decent amount of time. So they're doing these. It was, man, I wish I could remember what the other guy's name. It doesn't really matter. There was two of them, two priests that were involved in this. But the family is convinced that she's possessed too, so they're helping with this. Like they've stopped all medical care for their daughter. Now I get it that their daughter's 24 years old, but I'm pretty sure at this point she's still under the care of the family, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they stopped all medical care and they're just simply relying on these priests to exorcise these demons. And so the one guy, the Father Ernst, right? He says, well, it didn't look like she was an epileptic. Well,
Despite her massive history of epilepsy.
yeah, he knows best. It's got to be a demon possession. So he's like, yeah. So he urges the local bishop to allow the exorcism. It happens. It says, in a letter to Alt in 1975, Michel wrote, I am nothing. Everything about me is vanity. What should I do? I have to improve. You pray for me. And also once told him, I want to suffer for other people, but this is so cruel. So she's telling this priest dude this already, right? Like, tell me he's not involved in this a little bit. Like, he's got to be, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, feeding her to make her think that she's possessed. Like
Well, I guess, but by the time you get your family and now you've got priests backing it up and you're already suffering from mental health issues, like I mean, what else are you going to believe?
Yeah.
I mean, especially, like I said, you've been brought up this way. So, I mean, and granted, I mean, God, they've tried everything else. So, after 5 years of medications and all the problems, it's like maybe you would start thinking
it
that
is,
you are possessed.
I'm sure that the family could probably reach out to this, being a last resort thing for them too. But
I mean, at least in this situation, it's not like as soon as she had like a seizure, they're like, "Oh, she's possessed."
It's true.
They tried. Like
Right.
they actually did try several times to get her help.
So they get this this Father Arnold Renz to perform an exorcism. All right. The first session on the 24th of September. Michel began increasingly speaking about dying to atone for the wayward youth of the day and priests of the modern church. Her parents stopped consulting doctors at her request. Okay.
But she's also not in her right mind, so maybe not take her request in mind.
Exactly. So they're just going solely on the exorcism. They had one or two each week lasting up to 4 hours and were performed over approximately 10 months in 75 and 76. Toward the end of her life, Michelle began to refuse food.
So this is what killed her.
Yep. It says on July 1st of 1976, Michelle died in her home. The autopsy report stated the cause of death as malnutrition and dehydration resulting from almost a year in a state of near starvation while the rites of exorcism were performed.
Now, if they had at least kept her under medical care, she would have gotten IVs and...
Take a guess how much she weighed.
Oh, God. How tall was she? Did it say?
I don't know. She's just a 24-year-old female. We'll call
After
her 5 foot 5.
A year of starvation, 79 pounds.
66 pounds.
Wow. Man.
66 pounds.
Man, she's just nothing but bones.
Suffered broken knees from continuous genuflections, which I guess is like a kneeling on one knee, like in worshiping.
Okay.
Right. It may be a Catholic thing. I really don't know, but that's what I gathered out of it. It's not kneeling on both knees. It's just kneeling on one knee at a time. And she was unable to move without assistance. Of course, she weighs 66
she didn't have any muscle left.
Right. So anyway, she dies. And then says after an investigation, the state prosecutor maintained that Michelle's death could have been prevented as late as 1 week before she died. But after that point, no matter what, she was going to die, right?
Body just went to shut down.
So the 1976, the state charged Michelle's parents and priests, that Ernst Guy and the Arnold Wrens, with negligent homicide. Parents were defended by, it doesn't matter, by somebody who was famous over there, but I'll never pronounce his name. So, and then the priest defense counsel were paid by the church. The state recommended that none of the involved parties be jailed. Instead, the recommended sentence for the priest was a fine, while the prosecution concluded that the parents should be exempt from punishment as they had suffered enough. All right. Well, they go to trial. And pretty much that's what happens. I mean, it's a little different. Actually, it's a little worse than that, but not much. The doctors testified that Michelle wasn't possessed, stating that the manifestations of demonic possession or a psychological effect, because of the religious upbringing that she had,
Right.
As well as the epilepsy. Basically nobody thinks that she was possessed except for these priests. All right. But both priests claimed that demons identifying themselves as Lucifer, Cain, Judas Iscariot. Gosh, I never could pronounce it when I read it before either. Belial, maybe? Some demon from the Bible. Legion, Hitler, and Nero, among others. Anyway, point is, gets down to the end. And let's see what's finally comes out of this. Basically nothing. Man, I wish I could remember. See if I can find it. But they didn't get shit. I think the parents got set off. I think the priest had to pay something, and
Just
that
the
was
fine.
it. Yeah, like a small fine. Like, no big deal. Oh, wait, let's see. It says the sentences have been described as stiffer than those requested by the prosecutor, who had asked that the priest only be fined and that the parents be found guilty but not punished. Oh shit, I don't know where it's at. Doesn't matter. They didn't get shit. Nobody went to jail out of this. Nothing happened.
I mean, it does suck. I mean, it was her
Oh,
daughter.
here
It's
it
not
is.
like she wanted her to
Here it
die,
is.
but
In April of '78, the Michels and the two priests were convicted of negligent homicide, but were given suspended prison sentences, and they were ordered to share the cost of the legal proceedings.
okay,
So they had to cover court costs.
sounds like it. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure it was expensive because of the trial.
So after the trial, the Michels asked the authorities for permission to exhume the remains of their daughter because she'd been buried in a cheap coffin. They didn't have I would assume they didn't have the financial ability to pay for, one at a time.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, they probably got some money from the priest. Just saying. They were, they basically exhumed her, put her in a new oak coffin, and buried her again. Nothing else. But it says that the Michelle's gravesite remains as a pilgrimage site. I don't know. And then the number of officially sanctioned exorcisms decreased in Germany following the ordeal, despite Pope Benedict's support for wider use of the practice as compared to that of his predecessor, Pope John Paul II, who in 1999 tightened the rules to permit only rare cases for exorcisms. Why? Because he doesn't believe it either. Fuck. I really don't. I don't think so. I mean, I don't want any people, I don't want you Catholics or you other people who believe in possessions, getting pissed at me or anything. Actually, I really don't give a shit. Get pissed at me. I don't care. I don't think that Pope John Paul II believed that there's demon possessions going on like this. Otherwise, why would he tighten the rules, right? If you truly believe that this shit was going on all the time, it's wide open. Call it as you see it. No, you don't believe it's actually happening, and you're trying to protect the church a little bit.
Well, not only that, but it's like, okay, even if he believes it's happening, okay, with the glamorization in media, or no, I wouldn't say glamorization, but like them broadcasting these movies out repeatedly,
The scary movies?
Yeah, like, well, no, like okay.
Pope John Paul's like, man, that ain't right.
Well, okay, so like look for the reference. Say it's 1950. Okay, how many exorcism movies were there out?
Yeah.
Okay, now you got people that are like they already have mental health issues. They're seeing these movies, so it's like when they start having mental health issues, like people are so quick to be like, oh, they're possessed.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'm sure they get a lot of phone calls like
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
for requests, and I'm maybe it's just due to cut down on how many people get sent out. For these
Yeah,
kind of things.
maybe, but I don't think they believe it. I don't think that they believe it. I'm sure that in their heart of hearts they believe that that there is demon possession going on. I'm sure that they believe that it happens so infrequently that they don't even need to make a, you know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like from the Catholic friends that I've got, this is a very pronounced thing that they still
Really?
preach. Yes, like it is. Like this is like friends that are
Okay,
like,
maybe it's just me then.
our
Maybe
age, I don't know.
don't listen to anything I said because I really
I mean, that's just
dreamed
the
that.
churches though. Like you said, maybe John Paul had a completely different opinion.
He was a good one too. I mean, from what I remember I just always remember him in his Pope Mobile.
I liked him a lot better than the guy we got now.
I don't know who he is
I can't
I don't know.
remember his name
because
Like,
they had that one
he's-
guy. That one guy came after John Paul II. Maybe that was the Benedict that was there like 6
I don't
months,
know.
and then
This
he's like,
this
guy
new
was.
one just seems grumpy all the time.
Oh, that one. I'd seen a little bit on him on the other one anyway, and he's like the real deal. But then he was like 6 months of it. He's like, I don't know. It's probably like it's political type of thing, I would guess. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So anyway, the 2013 a fire engulfed the house where Michel had lived. Although the local police determined that it was a case of arson, some locals attributed the fire to the exorcism case. Of course they did.
Right.
It's just like folklore at this point, right?
Right. We're just gonna add as much to it as we can.
Anyway, that's the story of Annalise Michel. Anna Michel. All right.
And
So-
this is the one that was the Emily Rose one, huh?
Yep.
I wonder why they changed the name for.
So you take it as you want. Did all those involved get off scot-free, or was her death merely caused by the fact that her body could no longer handle the world after being possessed by these demons?
I mean, a year of no food and no water will do that to you.
I believe that's the case. So remember, you can visit our website at wikibros.com to get links to this show, more information on it, and on our other topics as well. Be sure to subscribe to a podcast and YouTube channel. Follow us on your favorite social media outlets like TikTok and Instagram. Leave us a rating. Tell a friend. And remember, Wikipedia runs on donations. So would you consider giving a couple of bucks? Join us next time for Wiki Bros. I'm Justin.
And this is Kyle.
I figured I'd get a demon voice.
Nope.
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 All right.
I'm gonna save it for next time.
All right.
We've got like one or two more of these
We got one
exorcisms. Like
more.
I can't
One
burn them all
more.
up. Just one. All right.
We'll see you on Halloween. Have a good evening.
Trick or treat.